From the biggest names in gaming to indie darlings and total newcomers, there's a little bit of everything in the pipeline, so let's dive right into the rest of the games coming in 2022.
We're going to start off with a few titles that you'll barely even have to wait for, which is the best news ever, starting with Naraka Blade Point, which will be slicing its way onto Xbox Game Pass on June 23rd. This action-packed spin on the Battle Royale genre allows up to 60 players to cross blades together, wielding all sorts of mythological weaponry as they compete to be the last warrior standing. Already a smash hit on PC, by the way, the console version will benefit from a brand new campaign mode, as well as some Xbox Series X and S optimizations to help you trample your opponents in even greater style.
Then we've got the psychological horror game Madison, arriving on console and PC on July 8th. The most recent trailer really seemed to tick all the blood-curdling boxes. Spooky picture books, suspiciously arranged candles, horrifying apparitions, and just a general tone of something absolutely awful is about to happen here. Definitely one to earmark for anyone looking to start Halloween early this year.
July is also going to be bringing us As Dusk Falls on the 19th. This is an interactive drama about two families who find their lives suddenly thrown together by a tragic twist of fate. Another day one addition to Xbox and PC Game Pass, this heart-wrenching story will give players the chance to make the vital decisions that shape each character's future.
Here's one we've been psyched for since last year's Xbox and Bethesda showcase, A Plague Tale: Requiem. The first game took us on an incredible journey filled with daring escapes, heart-stopping encounters, and so many rats. Built specifically for next-gen consoles and boasting a more battle-ready version of the series' fearless protagonist, expect Requiem to be an even more action-packed affair when it hits Game Pass later this year.
The sci-fi side-scroller Somerville is another title we've been anxiously anticipating ever since the 2021 showcase gave us a glimpse of it last year. Playing as a family of three and, of course, their trusty pet dog, you'll be trying to survive the aftermath of alien invasion when this one hits Xbox and PC Game Pass later in the year. So, good luck with that, I guess.
There's more anarchic, open-world fun coming our way on the 23rd of August when a gorgeously rebooted Saints Row comes marching in. And if you just can't wait to begin your life of crime, the Boss Factory is available to download now, so you can start working on your own unique character design right away. And while the series may have undergone its own glow-up, you'll find that the character customization options are as wide and as weird as ever before.
The 1st of September brings a game that's sure to be precious to any Tolkien fan, and I dare you to be a bigger one than me. I am, of course, talking about Lord of the Rings Gollum. Our good pal Gollum has a very particular set of skills, and players will get to take full advantage of all of them, from crawling along walls to sneaking past guards and throttling anyone who gets between them and their beloved precious ring. Finally, a video game character who understands the importance of accessorizing.
Coming exclusively to Xbox Series X and S and PC on September 13th, Dark Tide takes us back to the Warhammer 40k universe to enjoy some brutal first-person action. With a vast and varied arsenal on hand to help you carve up your enemies just so, this gleefully gory grimdark adventure will be hitting Game Pass on day one.
Overwatch 2 took the Xbox and Bethesda stage to very casually announce that not only would the sequel to the massively popular hero shooter would be available in early access form on the 4th of October, but that the game is also going to be totally free to play. No biggie, very chill. I barely even reacted at all.
Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactical RPG starring a host of your favorite superheroes, which arrives on console and PC on the 7th of October. From Wolverine to Ghost Rider, Spider-Man and Blade, these soups have never looked superer than they do in 4K Ultra HD with ray tracing, Dolby Atmos support and all that good stuff on the Xbox Series X. Oh, and this is a game where you can play video games with Marvel characters, so you know it's going to be a good one.
And that's not the only bit of superhero action which next-gen gamers will get to suit up for this October. Get ready, folks, because Gotham Knights arrives on the 25th for those who prefer a darker shade of spandex. With the Batman himself out of the picture, RIP, this game focuses on his would-be successors, Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Hood, and of course Robin. But do they really have what it takes to carry on his legacy?
The insanely acclaimed JRPG Persona 5 Royal will be hitting Xbox and PC Game Pass on October 21st. Playing as a young Tokyo student in search of redemption, this supernatural thriller will have you trying to save people from the deadly manifestations of their own subconscious desires. Yes, it is as strange as it sounds, and yes, it is as good as everyone says it is.
Also, arriving just in time for Halloween is the absolutely upsettingly visceral Scorn. This next-gen shooter takes place in a biopunk realm in which everything looks sort of sticky and vaguely wet. The xenomorph-ish art design alone is enough reason to check this one out when it squirms onto Xbox and PC Game Pass on October 21st.
Arriving straight from the disturbing mind of Rick and Morty creator Justin Roiland, High on Life will be portaling its way straight to Xbox and PC Game Pass on October 25th. Full of talking guns, mind-bending gadgets, and bizarre aliens, expect this to be every bit as hilarious and horrifying as your standard Rick Sanchez adventure.
Pentiment is an artful narrative adventure set in 16th century Bavaria, a turbulent time in which your decisions could have some pretty extreme consequences. So carefully pick unless you want this painterly title to suddenly involve a lot more red. Arriving day and date on Xbox and PC Game Pass next fall, this looks set to be one of the year's most visually distinct games.
A new Call of Duty is always a massive event, and Modern Warfare 2 looks to be no exception. Boasting a globe-trotting single-player campaign, a narrative-driven co-op experience, and of course, the multiplayer combat they've been refining for years, this might just be the start of a whole new era of Call of Duty.
Hello Neighbor 2 officially hits Xbox Game Pass on December 6th to provide players with even more trespassing fun. Playing as an investigative journalist, you'll be exploring a neighborhood in which a suspicious number of people seem to have completely disappeared. Fancy that. Each of the locals has a unique AI that can learn from the player's actions, so you will have to think on your feet if you don't want to end up on a missing persons poster of your very own.
Next-gen gamers can expect some sinister thrills when the Callisto Protocol rocks up on December 2nd. Also releasing on PC, this survival horror game takes place on a futuristic prison colony, where, as bad luck would have it, vicious aliens have decided to invade. Harnessing the full power of the Xbox Series X and S to scare our collective socks off, this one looks truly petrifying.
Game Pass members will get to take a trip to an alternate version of the 1950s with the zany first-person shooter Atomic Heart. The bad news is that this retro futuristic version of the past is full of killer robots. The good news, however, is that you're going to have an awful lot of fun turning them all into scrap metal.
Sometimes you don't need a complex plot, a vast open world, or an array of nuanced game mechanics to have a good time. Sometimes you just need a bunch of colourful critters elegantly walloping each other. And that's exactly what this slapstick brawler, Party Animals, will provide when it hits Xbox Game Pass later this year.
Over 10 million players enjoyed the gelatinous stylings of Slime Rancher 1, and now they're going to be able to do it all over again when the sequel hits Xbox and PC Game Pass later this year. Built from the very ground up with next-gen technology in mind, we can only imagine how wiggly the slimes are going to be this time around.
You would think that was us done, but somehow, someway, there is still a ton of other interesting games arriving this year that we haven't even mentioned yet, so let's rip through a bunch of them now with a quickfire round. Built for next-gen consoles, Goat Simulator 3 might just be the most powerful goat simulator we've ever encountered, and it's adding online multiplayer into the bargain too. It might have taken 30 years, but Flashback 2 is on the way this winter. It turns out Busted were wrong. Quite a lot changes when you live underwater, and the environmentally minded adventure High Water will be here to prove it come December. Based on the mega popular manga and anime series, One Piece Odyssey will be sailing our way later this year. Join a legion of headbanging icons for some rhythm RPS action in Metal Hellsinger, thrashing its way onto consoles and PC on September 15th. On August 11th, you can lead a bunch of woodland critters in their demonic rituals in Cult of the Lamb. Midnight Fight Express is sure to leave you bruised, bloodied, and hungry for more when it lands on August 23rd. Feel like you didn't hack enough souls first time around? Get back to work in Soul Hackers 2, arriving August 25th. Bewitch your eyes and befuddle your mind with the hand-painted puzzle adventure, Planet of Lana. Block and Load 2 will give players a whole new battlefield to take apart, one brick at a time. Find a shipmate and head out to sea in the co-op roguelike adventure, Ship of Fools. Gungrave Gore arrives this fall, and it's bringing enough blood and guts for everybody. Wanted Dead lets you slice and dice your way through a teched-up version of Hong Kong. Forever Skies is a first-person survival game set in the wake of an ecological disaster. If you're concerned about our increasingly automated corporation-controlled world, then The Last Worker might be for you, if you can get enough time off work to play it, that is. Strange radio signals lead to all sorts of supernatural surprises in Oxenfree 2: Lost Signals. Arriving on July 26th, Immortality is another full-motion video mystery from the creator of Her Story and Telling Lies.
I'll take over the speed round from here, Benny, because there is quite a lot of games, my love. First up, take to the cold abyss of space to shoot at your friends in the tactical multiplayer Boundary. Step into the shoes of Agent Dahlia Reyes and face down the forces of hell in Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. Signalis is a psychological survival horror game set in a dark vision of the future, and it comes straight to Xbox Game Pass on October 27th. Continue the forever war on an all-block kind with Arkanoid Eternal Battle. Classic wrestling icons meet old-school RPG mechanics in the gloriously nostalgic WrestleQuest. Batora Lost Haven is a spacey, story-driven RPG with some twin-stick shooting thrown in for very good measure. Journey to a cursed city and save your father in the mythological action RPG Asterigos, which arrives this fall. I'm at the frog, I'm at the gun. I'm at the combination frog and gun. I am, of course, at the Frogun, or I will be when it arrives later this summer. If Rocket League was a racing game, then it might look a little like Turbo Golf Racing, and it would definitely look pretty fun. Solve puzzles by moving objects backwards through time in the brain-busting first-person adventure, The Entropy Center. Prove yourself to be the one true master of the hops in Brewmaster Beer Brewing Simulator. A dark gothic Metroidvania with just a dash of Souls-like, The Last Faith is going to have you praying for mercy later this year. The 90s was a weird time, especially if you happen to be a tiny astronaut from the future traveling through it with his tiny alien friends, which is exactly what you happen to be in Tinykin. Get those crime scenes spick and span in the morbidly stealth game Serial Cleaners. Who wants to be a race car driver when you can be the one who tells them what to do? F1 Manager 2022 will be speeding into town on August 30th. Slap your friends all the way to heaven, you heard me right, in the physics-based multiplayer brawler Divine Knockout. When a game has soul in the title, you should expect it's going to kick your ass. Solstice is no exception. This sci-fi adventure doesn't ask for much. Just deliver us Mars, okay? That is the title part of the game, by the way, in case you didn't get the joke there. And last but certainly not least, Benny, we have got the console release of the animal brawler Them's Fightin' Herds.
With so many games of every shape, size, and style imaginable on the way this year, the only problem is going to be working out which of them to play first. Hit the comments to let us know what's at the top of your list, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to hear even more about them in the weeks to come. We'll see you next time.